Hello and welcome back to Studio Session. I'm Katherine and thank you so much for tuning in to another episode. I'm so sorry that we could not get you an episode for Wednesday. Unfortunately, our schedule was shifted on that day for the unified basketball game. The Lions did win though, so woo, very exciting. But yeah, we did not have a Lion block, so we could not film the podcast. But we are back and yeah, let's jump into today's report. For reading, recently I've been taking so many fun little quizzes with my friends, like whether it's BuzzFeed or just other random websites. Some of them are actually interesting, some of them are just plain stupid, but I just think it's so fun to read those results. For eating, my sweet treat of choice recently has been little ice cream sundaes. I've just been putting vanilla ice cream and then putting either caramel or hot fudge on top and then sprinkles. It just makes me feel like I'm getting something fancy, but I'm literally just making it in my house. I don't know. For playing, guys, Hosier has a new EP coming out in a couple days, and he's been posting snippets of some of the songs. They're so good. I've been looping them on repeat. I can't wait for the full songs. For obsessing, Senior Assassin is in full play, and I'm just obsessed with trying to figure out who has me, who everyone has. I did get my first round target the other day. Very proud of myself for that one. But I'm just really watching my back. It's honestly terrifying. For recommending, I just recommend that you tell people you appreciate them. If your mom did something great, tell her you love her. If your friend helped you out the other day, be like, I appreciate you. I don't know, it's just always nice to hear words like that. And finally, for treating, I think I'm gonna buy myself a new pair of shoes for the spring. I've been really trying to save money, holding back, but I do think I am going to get a new pair of sneakers. That's it for today's report, and let's jump into our main segment. I'm joined with Lucas for our main segment, and today's album review for our blue album cover is Nevermind by Nirvana. This is an alternative album that was released in 1991. Okay, my favorite on this album, this is no surprise to myself and probably no surprise to my close friends. I chose Smells Like Teen Spirit. I know it's the most popular song, but I just love this song so much. Me and my sister kind of have an inside joke about it, which definitely that played into why it's my favorite. I don't know, for a good chunk of the summer, I would wake my sister up by blasting this song just because it was an inside joke between us. So it has a personal connotation to me, but I also just love this song. Yeah, it's so iconic, it's so good, so it's definitely my favorite on the album.
For my favorite, I picked Something in the Way. Just a very reminiscent song. I remember seeing Batman the day it came out, and this was obviously a crucial part of the soundtrack. Just feels to me like one of the more complete songs on the album, and spoiler, Smells Like Teen Spirit will get recognition, but I just feel like Something in the Way is the better one of the good songs on this album.
My second favorite song on this album, I picked In Bloom. I thought it had a catchy beat and was more of a vocal standout as opposed to some of the other ones. The instrumentals, in my opinion, just really added to the song. They weren't too overpowering. I know there are a lot of great instruments on a ton of Nirvana songs. I just thought that they really amplified this song in particular. Just kind of the whole vibe of the song was one I liked as opposed to something more slower, kind of like Something in the Way. So In Bloom was my second favorite on this album.
So I did go with Smells Like Teen Spirit for my favorite on this album. It feels to me like kind of one of those songs where you definitely know the namesake, but you don't really. For me personally, I didn't know the song. When I heard it, I was like, oh, okay, it's this song. It was one of those songs, definitely a recognizable track in terms of just how skillful Nirvana was on it. You can tell the work's been put in, and for that reason, it's my second most favorite on this album.
That brings me to my least favorite on this album. There were a couple I didn't love. I'm just going to kind of shout them out real quick. I almost chose Stay Away. Didn't love that one. I also almost chose Endless Nameless, which is the last track. The only reason I didn't pick that one is because I thought it did a solid job as a closer. There was a long instrumental piece, which you guys know, not a big fan of, but I did think it was a decent ending to the album. But ultimately, I went with Lounge Act for my least favorite. I just thought it was a little too scream-ish, more than some of the other ones. And there was nothing else really stand out about it. There wasn't much depth because there was kind of more of that screaming element, and it was fairly short. I think it was a 2-minute song. There just wasn't a lot for me to love about it. So unfortunately, that was my least favorite.
For my least favorite, I went with Breed. I just, like Catherine said, just the same. I have the same sentiments towards this song. Kind of a little shade of the MJ theory of all the songs on this album are good, but you had to pick the worst one. I don't think that's in this company in terms of albums, but I just feel like Breed is the worst one on this album.
And finally, my underrated pick for this album, I went with Polly. And the reason I chose Polly is because when I first turned on this song, I didn't love the beginning. I think the opening lines are literally like, Polly wants a cracker. So I was like, okay, is Polly a bird? I just didn't love it. I listened to this on my drive home yesterday. And I was like, oh, okay, I feel like I'm not gonna love this one. But then as the song progressed, I just liked it even more. It had an interesting beat and it did get stuck in my head. So I was like, oh, okay, actually, I like the song way more than I thought. So I gave Polly my underrated pick.
I did give my underrated pick to Endless Nameless. I just thought it was a good ending. As mentioned earlier, there is that little instrumental part that I liked, and I just thought it was an enthusiastic cap to this album. I thought it did a good job of tying the whole thing together.
For my overall album rating, I give this album a solid 7 out of 10. For my notes, I have Nirvana is definitely one of the most famous, influential bands of their time. This album is definitely a standout in their discography. There are so many songs that everyone knows and loves. I loved a couple of these songs. I liked most, and unfortunately, there were one or two that I did dislike. So I thought a 7 seemed fair with that kind of, loved a couple, liked most, hated a couple. So I thought a 7 was solid, but I did really like this album as a whole.
I gave it an 8. Definitely, it has those peaks that some albums can only dream of. A couple songs on here that are universally recognized. And I just believe that, it's got the legacy score as well. I think 8 is a fair rating for an album where it's not all hits, but it's far from being all misses. There's a lot of good songs on this album.
This was definitely an iconic album. We all know the cover, the baby in the water. So we just had to go with this one for Blue. All right, that was it for our main segment, and let's jump into our next one. Okay, for today's next segment, we are going to be doing a playlist essentials, and our theme is songs for a rainy day. I'm pretty sure one of the first episodes we ever did, we did songs for a snowy day, but I'm pretty confident we have not done rain. So that is what we are going to do today. Spring has just started. We all know April showers bring May flowers, and it's almost April, so that's why we went with this one. For my third place, I gave it to Unwritten by Natasha Bedingfield. Feel the rain on your skin. I thought this was more of an uplifting song that did happen to mention rain, and I just imagine dancing in the rain to this one. Spoiler alert, my other two picks are kind of more sullen, rainy, sad-ish songs. So I wanted to put an uplifting one in there too. I don't know, this just reminds me of happy times. I know the song's kind of trending. It was in the new movie Anyone But You. So it kind of got a resurgence on social media. But this is just such a fun song, and just it makes me want to go outside and dance in the rain. So that was my third pick.
Yeah, definitely. I'm not sure the picking between, being the mysterious, I'm a rain recluse, and then the outgoing oh yeah, it's raining outside. I'm gonna go make the most of it. I'm gonna go party in the rain. I had a mix. Honorable mentions. Perfect Circle / Godspeed by Mac Miller. That would be one, but I think I already mentioned it already. And then Dancing in Babylon off the new MGMT album. Definitely go check that one out. My third, I went with a more somber tone song. I said Ghost Town by Kanye. One of the more beautiful tracks in his discography. With him, although the lyrics will be questionable, the production's always going to be there. And that definitely comes through on this track.
For my next pick, like I said, I did go with a more sad tune. I chose Sparks by Coldplay. This song is just so sad, and it almost makes me think of you're just really sad, and you're sitting out in the rain, and you're getting poured on. I don't know, that's just kind of the vibes I got. This is a beautiful song. It is definitely heart-wrenching though. I don't know, it just has a beautiful tune. The lyrics are so good, and it just reminds me of the rain, so I chose Sparks by Coldplay.
For my second one, now I'm channeling driving home from a long day of work, you need to get hyped up. I picked Prom Night by Chance the Rapper. This is, I'm not quite sure how to express the love I have for this track. I played it a lot last spring, and I think it's just a good track for that transition into warmer times. Definitely, probably the best in his discography. He doesn't exactly have, a god tier bunch of albums, but I think this song is truly a standout work from him.
And my top pick, I chose Fade Into You by Mazzy Star. To me, this song is like the epitome of like a cozy day song. Like when I hear this song, I just imagine like curled up with a cup of coffee, the rain is pouring outside, you have like a blanket. I don't know. It's just like it gives me cozy, almost like fall vibes. And I don't know, it just reminds me of the rain kind of. The song was featured in Gilmore Girls, which is just like the epitome of a comfort show in my opinion. So I don't know, when I thought of Rainy Day, I immediately thought of this kind of comforting song. It's more of like a sullen, calm tune. Not necessarily like sad, but definitely more of like a somber vibe. So that was my top pick. I don't know, it just reminds me of a cozy rainy day.
So like I said, you can interpret rain with many different attitudes. We have now moved on to the section of like, I'm walking in the rain, I'm a bad dude, and I feel powerful in the rain. I'm sure there's some people out there that are just people that just walk in the rain regardless. My number one pick is No Church in the Wild. I just imagine it pouring, it's like a middle of a hurricane, and you're just walking down the street with this song on. That is some like main character in a movie type stuff. And I think it just fits the prompt perfectly. The song is very good, been around for a long time. No Church in the Wild is my top song for a rainy day.
That was it for today's Playlist Essentials, and let's jump into our final segment. Okay, and as always, we're going to end with what to expect next. So our next album, we're going to be doing Melodrama by Lorde. It was really tough to find an album that had a primarily indigo album cover. I don't know, I think indigo is just kind of tough, is it purple, is it blue? But I think this one's pretty solid. It's definitely like a dark blue indigo kind of vibe. And for any albums that are going to be dropping this weekend, well, you'll be hearing this on Friday, but it's Thursday when we're filming this. And on Friday, March 22nd, Olivia Rodrigo is releasing the deluxe version of her album Guts. I think there's like 5 new tracks that I'm definitely really excited to hear. I love the Guts album. Guts is going to be coming soon as an album review, hint, hint. So I'm just really excited to hear these new songs. And also, as I previously mentioned, Hozier has his EP coming out. I don't know if it's actually called Unheard or if that's just what he's calling it because these songs are unheard. But the Unheard EP is also coming out on March 22nd. I'm so excited. So not really any like full albums, but I just thought that these were, nice song releases that are upcoming. Any final remarks today?
Nothing on the music. Happy opening weekend of March Madness to all who celebrate.
That's it for today's episode. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye.